Hey guys, how's it going? I'm going to be showing you how to convert any old car into a camper car. First things first, we need to check to see if your car can actually be converted. This is a 2011 Toyota Corolla, so we'll be using this one as a demo model, but please follow these steps to make sure it works for you. Alright, so this is just a regular old car. Most cars have fold down seats. If your car doesn't have fold down seats or the seats fold completely flat, then it's going to be a lot easier for you. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to fold these bad boys on down. With our car seat foot down, I'm basically going to measure from the tail end of the trunk up to here and see if this is something that can actually fit me. Alternatively, you can actually just lay in here yourself and see if that works. After measuring from the back of the front seat all the way to the back of the car, it says I'm about 6 feet, which is plenty of space for me to lay down here comfortably. We're going to make it even more comfortable and do a more precise measurement in just a second. And just again to check real quick, you can basically see that I'm fitting in here, although not comfortably, my body does fit. We're gonna make it really more comfortable in just a second. All right, so we're gonna be getting into the nuts and bolts of the car and actually removing some things. So really quickly, most of the seats have a cover that extend into the trunk of the car. If we lift up this plate right here, and then this little fiberboard right here, you can actually see where the upholstery hooks on. It's really easy to remove it, and that comes off just like that. The other thing that we're going to be doing is we're actually going to be removing the car seat from the actual car. So we lift this up right here, we can actually see that the bolt of the car hooks into this swivel right here. All right, and we're going to be removing this bolt right here. If you have an adjustable wrench, it's really easy to get on here and to remove it like that. What's even easier than that is if you have a socket wrench. So I'm actually going to use this on here, and I'm going to push on here just to remove the seat. Like that, and we have this side of the seat removed. We're going to be doing the same thing to the seat right here as well as to the larger seat over here. All right. With both sides unscrewed, we can actually lift the whole seat up. Unhook the seatbelt and remove it from the car. If you look at the surface right now, we have room pretty much for the plywood to lay flat as it transitions into the main compartment of the car. Alright, so we removed both seats of the car, and as you can see, we have a lot more space now in between. What we're now going to remove is pretty much anything that's going to be blocking our way in this transition from the cargo space of the car up to the front. The only piece that remains right here is this swivel joint that held both seats in place. So again, using my ratchet, I'm just going to remove this whole chunk of material out. Sometimes that takes a little persuasion to get some of these parts moving. Keep in mind, this has not been moved since your car has been manufactured, so a lot of times it's going to take a little bit of convincing to get going. Alright, so what we have right now is our seat left in place, the bottom part of our seat. We're actually going to keep this in place, although it is pretty easy to remove from this point. We are going to tuck the seat belts in the best that we can so that they're not going to be bothering us once we get our plywood in. We're going to have a nice smooth surface to work with. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to take our seat belts that are still remaining and we're going to tuck them into the side interior of the car. Most of the plastic faceplates are really easy to snap out of place. Tuck the seat belt in there and then snap back into place. And the bottom part of the seat belt is just going to go right there. Alright, so last thing we're going to do is we're going to re-measure, pretty much going from the back of the cargo space in the trunk all the way to the front. This is the actual measurement that we're going to be using to cut the plywood, so it's important that we get this correct. So I'm going to the very end of the trunk to right about right here, trying to replicate what that plywood's look like, and we're actually at about 73.5 inches, so we gained about an inch and a half from our original measurement just by taking out the seats. Alright, so the next measurement we're going to be doing is going to be the horizontal measurement for the plywood we're cutting. We're going to be basically going from this lower corner right here to this lower corner right here. Please keep in mind that a lot of cars have these internal frame designs that are really going to hamper us having a flat surface. So to keep it as flat as possible, we're going to be measuring from the two lowest points. With this car, we get about 28 inches. Alright, and so moving on to the bed of the car, we're actually going to be making this out of plywood. So there are a few different types of plywood, like sanded, unsanded, as well as variants in the thickness. You can figure out the thickness by looking right here. So this is 15/32, which is just a representation of the thickness of the plywood. And real quick, follow me over here. We also have 19/32, so this is a slightly thicker board. If you want your board or bed to be more stiffer, then you want to go with a thicker board. So we're actually going to go with this one because it's only $27, but feel free to go with the 15/32. So with most home improvement stores like Lowe's or Home Depot, there's actually a wood cutting area where associate will cut the plywood or wood of your choice with 1 or 2 cuts for free with every purchase. So we're going to use this area to actually take advantage of the cuts and get everything done. Our boards are actually already pre-cut, so we're not going to be using this area, but if you're purchasing new wood and plan on getting it cut, this is the area that you can go in the store to get it cut to the dimensions that we measured earlier. So this is a wood pole we found while shopping around Lowe's, and we're actually going to be transforming this pole into some curtains or blinds in the back of the car. Alternatively, you could use a blanket, but we're just going to be using this piece of wood, cutting it in half to the right sides of the car and using it as curtains, and I'll be demonstrating that later on. With the extra pieces cut from our plywood, I'm actually going to be using that to try and flatten out this surface even more. So basically, I'm going to be putting this down here, stop the seatbelts from protruding up, and I'm going to be putting this old towel in right here. I've used this plywood in the past as a camper bed, and over time it's ended up in a few pieces. It's better to have one continuous piece, but anyway, I'm going to demonstrate how to put this in. Basically, we're just going to layer it in all the way back of the car, and that's one segment of the bed. Next piece in. And finally, last piece. Alright, so I'm just doing one more lay test before I put the foam in, just to make sure that I'm perfectly comfortable with the setup going in from the trunk to the front. And I gotta say, this is actually pretty comfortable, so I'm excited to put the foam on in and get this going. Alright, so next up is to put the foam over our nice new plywood that's in the car. I got this topper foam, it's memory foam, off of bestpricemattress.com. This is only $30 and it's twin size, so it's going to fit in the car pretty well. So I went ahead and added a quote on in here, and you can see the foam underneath this. This is just acting as like a base layer between the bedding I'm putting on top of the foam, the actual foam. The twin size foam does actually perfectly fit my car, so if you look, it does come up to this side. I kind of use this as a boundary to keep some of the stuff over here away from my sleeping area. Alright, with the bed put together, this is all starting to come together. You can kind of sit in here and see how comfy it is, feel it out, make sure it feels good. I can tell right now already that this is a really comfortable bed. I'm really glad that I went with the 2 inches of foam. I could go with something thicker, but 2 inches seems to be the minimum for me. That really works out well. So I got these coffee bags from all the local coffee shops in my area. I just asked if they had any, and they were like, oh yeah, here you go. So I'm going to be using these and some binder clips to work as shades for the car. So let me show you how that's done. So I'm using some of the architecture of the car to my advantage. Along the windows, there's very much just rubber matting that holds these binder clips in really well. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take our coffee bag, hook it into the binder clip, and that's actually going to become our shade as we go around. So I'm going to continue the rest of this. And like that, we have a blind. So I started making blinds with that pole we got at Lowe's. I cut the pole in half to fit the size of my car, and then cut holes and the coffee bags at the top, basically to act as blinds. And we're gonna go ahead and install these in the car. So using this lanyard, I'm basically gonna be pulling it through both the hand arms up here to hold the blinds of the car. With both blinds in place, we have a smooth way of pretty much getting privacy really easily. At nighttime, when it's time to go to sleep, I simply close these, and go sleep. When it's daytime, I open these on up and I can easily see with my rear view mirror all the way to the front. With this being on like a rope system, I can also move this to the front of the car or to the back of the car as needed, just as I'm moving things around. So the last piece we're going to use to pretty much make this a privacy area in the back is we're going to take a sun blocker that's usually used in front windshields of the car, and we're just going to place it up in the back like this, and it blocks out all the light. It gives us a good sense of privacy, especially when we're on the road trips. Alright, and that's how we have it. We finally have the car set up and ready to go car camping. This comfortably sits 2 people. If you're going to be doing a solo road trip, you can also leave one seat in here and use it as a good storage place. What I also use is underneath here. I usually store all my water, clothing, and food all underneath here, as well as anything I might need, like a toothpaste or a toothbrush for the long drive. Alright, and this is the setup I've used to go across the country. The furthest I've went is about just under 10,000 miles and done 3 weeks of traveling inside the car just like this. I've also done a few road trips up north to like Michigan or North Carolina and Tennessee with a similar setup, but it works, it's really comfortable, and I feel nice and cozy even in the winters when it's below freezing outside.